Good morning and welcome to this regularly scheduled meeting of the Executive Committee for the City of Minneapolis, February 3rd, 2016 at 10 a.m. I'm Betsy Hodges, Mayor and Chair of the committee, joined this morning by Councilmember Gordon, Council Vice President Glidden, Council President Johnson, and Councilmember Reich. We are the entire committee and therefore a quorum of the committee and can conduct the city's business. We have 3 items on our agenda, and I am going to move now to amend the agenda to add 1 item as the 4th item on the agenda, which is appointment of the Director of Regulatory Services. So I move to add to the agenda my nomination of Noah Schuckman to the position of Director of Regulatory Services Department and to forward his name to the Community Development and Regulatory Services Committee for a public hearing. I will say more about that appointment when we get to that item, but there's a motion to amend the agenda to include that as item number 4. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in approval, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, abstentions, that carries. So we will return to the beginning of the agenda, Human Resources Department, item 1, an appointed position, Deputy City Coordinator. Ms. Nelms, good morning.
Good morning, Mayor Hodges, members of the Executive Committee. Today we're here to consider 3 new positions in the appointed service for the city. For each of these positions, we are going to ask that the council adopt the findings that the proposed position meets the criteria in section 20.1010 of the Minneapolis Code of Ordinances, City Council to establish positions, and that you refer the matter to Ways and Means upon approval. The first position that we're going to consider is the new title is Deputy City Coordinator. It happens to be an existing title in the city as well. It's a vacant position. There's some additional duties being added, and whenever we have an existing position that's being either increased or decreased in value because of either added or subtracted duties, we do call them new positions to the city. That's the case actually for all 3 of the positions that we're going to talk about today. The Deputy City Coordinator position, the new one has been evaluated at 745 points. It is a grade 17 position. I'll just read you a little bit about the background for the position, and then if you have any questions, I will invite City Coordinator Kronk to come up and respond. The City Coordinator is proposing adding significant supervisory responsibilities to the vacant Deputy City Coordinator position. Whereas the position had no direct reports in the past, it will now directly supervise 9 positions and have management authority over a total of 27 positions. The proposed value or job salary range will now be $133,244 to $157,952. Previously, the position topped out at $152,736, so about a $5,000 increase. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to take those now.
Questions on this? Councilmember Gordon.
This isn't a question that you may maybe you can't answer right now, but one of the things I thought would be helpful is if there was an organizational chart so that it was clearer to us to see what the 9 positions are that are the direct reports to this person and how it fits into the organization of the coordinator's office. And maybe there was one provided and I just haven't seen it yet.
Mayor Hodges, Councilmember Gordon, I apologize. I was not able to hear your question from here. Could you please repeat what
It's
you just
either my
asked?
fault or let's blame it on the sound system. I'm wondering if there's an organizational chart which would show where this position would fall in the coordinator's office. I think there's been some changes there, and I just would like to get a better picture of how that all fits. It does say there's 9 direct reports that this person would be supervising, and I'm curious about who they are, and think an organizational chart would be helpful.
Mayor
And
Hodges.
Ms. Nelms, behind you, I see Mr. Kronk nodding.
Okay, thank you.
Good morning, Mayor Hodges, council members. Councilmember Gordon, certainly happy to get you an organizational chart. Sorry we don't have it in front of me right now, but I will follow up with you right after this meeting and get that.
Thank you very much.
Overall, I'll just note that this is really an alignment of ensuring that the Deputy City Coordinator is classed appropriately with the responsibilities that are asked of that Deputy City Coordinator. And so, as you know, Riviera Vandermine took on that role a number of months ago. The scope has changed significantly since I came on board, and I wanted to make sure that this position falls in line with the duties and responsibilities that we're asking Ms. Vandermine to be doing. So,
That's also very helpful too, because I also noticed in the report, it said it was to responsibilities to the vacant position. So that confused me as well, because it's no longer vacant, and that's an error in the report. Maybe the report was drafted earlier. Thank you very much.
Any other questions? I don't see any. I will move approval of the staff recommendation regarding the appointed position, Deputy City Coordinator. All in approval, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, abstentions, that carries. Thank you very much. We will move to item 2 on the agenda, Deputy Director, Neighborhood and Community Relations. Ms. Nelms.
Thank you, Mayor Hodges, members of the Executive Committee. Today, this is the next request. This is to establish a new appointed position in the Neighborhood and Community Relations Department. The request is also to approve the salary schedule for the position, which will have a range of $93,294 to $110,594. The Director of Neighborhood and Community Relations wants to establish a new deputy position in the department that will subsume the duties and responsibilities of the existing but vacant Access and Outreach Manager, and will assist with managing and directing Neighborhood and Community Relations Department community support activities. The Access and Outreach Manager is a grade 10 appointed position, and it will be inactivated.
Are there questions on this position? Councilmember Gordon, did you? No. Council President Johnson.
Madam Chair, I would just ask the same question that Councilmember Gordon asked for the previous position. I think it really is helpful to see the organizational charts, to see how they would be aligned versus today's work. So I would just ask that favor, please. Thank you. I see Mr. Rubider is shaking his head, so we'll get that from him, I'm sure.
Council Vice President Glidden.
Thanks, and just a note of clarification that I hope these are afforded to the entire committee, not just the person who asked the question.
Any other questions about this? Seeing none, I will move approval of the staff direction regarding appointed position, Deputy Director, Neighborhood and Community Relations. All those in approval, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, abstentions, that carries. And then we get to item 3, appointed position, Manager, Convention Center. Ms. Nelms.
Mayor Hodges, members of the Executive Committee, today we're considering the combining of 5 existing appointed manager titles at the Convention Center into one title. The title that would be then, the new title would be Manager Convention Center, evaluated at 538 total points allocated to grade 11. The salary schedule for the position would be a range of $89,722 to $106,360. The Executive Director of the Convention Center has requested that his manager positions be combined under one title. The proposed broad title would combine the Facility Operations Manager, Guest Services Manager, Event Services Manager, Event Operations Manager, and Business Service Manager into the single title. Of those, previously all of them had 538 points, except for one. The Business Services Manager had 468 points. The salary that's being recommended for the new title, which has the same number of points as the 4 previous titles had, would be unchanged. Recently, the position Business Services Manager was assigned additional financial responsibilities, including involvement in budgeting and overseeing the preparation of management financial reports and schedules, maintaining department financial information, and acquiring and analyzing industry benchmarking data and developing employees. These additional responsibilities increase its job value commensurate with the other Convention Center Manager positions. If we were not here today recommending the combining of titles into one manager title, we would be here today instead requesting recognition of the increased value for the Business Services Manager.
Questions? Council President Johnson.
Madam Chair, so I guess I'm confused about this. We are combining 5 positions that are separately titled now into one position?
Mayor Hodges, Councilmember Johnson, yes, that's correct. There are 5 titles. 4 of the 5 are already valued at the same value as the new title is valued at. It's The other title that is being included in this is lower, but because of added duties, it's actually going to be the same level as the other 4. And
Is this one person that we're talking about that's taking 5 jobs? That's kind of where I'm
no,
confused.
So I guess the question, Ms. Nelms, is it's 5 titles and 5 people, and it will now be 5 people and 1 title.
correct.
Okay, great,
And the positions would have area specific designators behind them,
great.
but
Okay,
they would be all convention center manager.
I got, okay, thank you
see.
so much.
I see Mr. Johnson behind you. Did you want to speak, Mr. Johnson?
Mayor and members of the committee. Basically, what we're doing here is that we've had 5 managers. We still have 5 managers. 4 of them have always been valued at the same level. 1 has been valued at a lower level. Over the past few years, we've been downsizing the amount of supervisors, managers, and directors that we have. And so we have less management at the convention center, but some of those tasks and duties are now falling on the business services manager. That position was lower than the other 4, and I wanted to make sure that all of our managers were on the same line. So the 4 managers are not getting anything different or change, but the business services manager is coming up to that same level with more duties and responsibilities, so that all of our managers now are valued the same.
Other questions? Seeing none, I will move approval of the staff recommendation regarding appointed position manager convention center. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in approval, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? That carries.
Thank you.
That brings us to the 4th, and thank you very much, Ms. Nelms. You had a busy morning. That brings us to the 4th item on the agenda as added in the beginning, and that is considering Mayor Hodges' nomination to appoint Noah Schuckman to the appointed position of Director of Regulatory Services for a 2-year term beginning January 4th, 2016, for referral to the Community Development and Regulatory Services Committee for a public hearing. And I move this nomination with great pleasure. I appreciate Mr. Schuckman's experience with the city, first of all, in a number of roles, most recently and most notably as the interim director, where he has done a great job serving the city and managing the department. He has experience with code enforcement. He has experience with regulatory services. He has a vision for where he wants to take the department next, while knowing that there's been a lot of change already and making sure that we provide that consistency and that dedication to movement forward. He knows the city enterprise well, and he knows us very well as the subject matter, and will bring some consistency to the department, which has not experienced as much of it as we all would have liked these last years. So it is with great pleasure that I put forward his name and that I make the motion and that I ask for your support for today for referral to the Community Development and Regulatory Services Committee for a public hearing in general for Noah Schuckman as Regulatory Services Director. Any discussion? Council President Johnson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I want to support this nomination, and thinking through this, I know that we have employees who have stepped up when we've needed help and change has occurred within departments, and I always have appreciated people's ability to fill those interim roles, and I think we have a responsibility as an employer to recognize that when it's done well. And as I was thinking through this, after we spoke on the phone, Mayor, Mr. Jeff Johnson did this so many times for us at the convention center, and it's been recognized, and he's done a great job for us as the permanent director. So I think when we have someone who's done a good job in leadership in a temporary role, we need to recognize that, and I'm pleased to support this nomination.
Other comments? The one other thing that I will note is that Mr. Schuckman has been at the city in various roles through a number of very challenging times, anything from a bridge collapse to a precinct occupation, and his leadership and his steady thinking, his ability to problem solve and get something done on behalf of the city is proven, and I appreciate that very much as well. So seeing no further discussion, all of those in approval, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, abstentions, that carries. It will now move to the Community Development and Regulatory Services Committee for a public hearing. Congratulations, Mr. Schuckman. Thank you for being here today. Seeing no further business before the committee, we are adjourned.